Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at Intel's new Arc B580.
The Battlemage.
The Battlemage. Yeah, graphics card. This thing is making some serious waves in the tech world.
It really is.
Yeah, we decided it was time for a deep dive.
Definitely.
Now, if you're listening, you're probably at least a little interested in graphics cards, so...
Or just tech in general.
Right, or just tech. Maybe you're a gamer.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a content creator, or...
Maybe you just like keeping up with the latest and greatest.
Exactly. Well, today we're going to be taking a close look at the B580, breaking down why it's causing such a stir, and we'll be using this awesome video review from NovaTechView.
Great channel.
Yeah, they always do a great job explaining things in a way that makes sense, even if you're not a total tech whiz.
For sure.
So are you ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start with the biggest thing that caught our eye. I mean, when we first saw this card.
The price.
The price. This card is going for $249.
Which is, for what you're getting, unheard of.
I mean, come on.
It's nuts.
That's got to be a game changer, right? I mean, for anyone looking to, build a PC or upgrade.
Yeah, it's a serious shakeup for the market.
So let's get into what you actually get for that $249.
Okay, let's do it.
The B580 has 20 X cores. Now,
part of the GPU.
Yeah, for anyone who's not super familiar with, graphics card lingo, think of the X cores as like the engine of the card, right?
Yep.
They handle all the really heavy lifting, all the complex calculations to make sure you get smooth visuals, high fidelity, all that.
Right, and these X cores are running at 2.67 gigahertz.
2.67 gigahertz. That's speedy.
Yeah, it's no slouch.
Okay, so what does that actually translate to in terms of real world performance?
Well, basically it means you can kiss lag and stuttering goodbye.
Oh, nice.
Even when you're playing the latest games, cranked up to high settings.
Oh, so we're talking no more frustrating moments when the game freezes up right when you're about to defeat the final boss or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about providing that smooth, immersive experience.
Okay, that's impressive. But, smooth gameplay is one thing, but what about memory?
Right, you got to have enough memory to handle all those massive open worlds and crazy detailed textures we see in games these days.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, the B580 comes with 12 gigabytes of GDDR6 memory.
12. Wow. Okay, that's a lot.
That's a lot of memory.
What does that mean for the user?
Think of it like this. The more memory you have, the faster your graphics card can access the information it needs, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like having a super fast highway system for all that data, keeping things moving smoothly, preventing those annoying bottlenecks.
So whether you're gaming or you're creating content, you're not going to be waiting around for things to load up.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about smooth gameplay and handling, those complex visuals, but there's this other thing that's kind of become the holy grail of gaming in recent years.
Ray tracing.
Ray tracing, right?
It's all about making things look as realistic as possible.
And NovaTechView did a really great job explaining this in their video, how it actually works.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Basically, it mimics how light behaves in the real world, which makes, reflections, shadows, everything just look...
super realistic.
Super realistic.
And the B580 comes with 20 dedicated ray tracing units.
20? Okay, that's a lot. Right?
I don't know.
Yeah, so are we talking mind-blowing, hyper-realistic graphics?
Definitely has the potential.
Okay, that's awesome. So we've got smooth gameplay, complex visuals, ray tracing.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful package.
All in a card that's under $250.
Pretty amazing.
But we haven't even talked about power consumption yet,
right,
which for a lot of people is a big deal.
Huge, especially these days. Yeah,
so how does the B580 stack up in terms of efficiency?
Well, it's got a relatively low power draw, only 190 watts.
190, okay.
Which is less than a lot of its competitors.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you won't need a crazy expensive power supply to run it.
Yeah, so it's easier on your wallet and
easier on the planet.
Right, so it's kind of a win-win.
Definitely. Good for the environment, good for your gaming.
Okay, so before we move on, is there anything else about the B580's core features, the nuts and bolts, that really stood out to you from that NovaTechView video?
Well, they highlighted the PCI Express 4.0x8 support.
Okay, now, I'm going to be honest, that sounds a little bit like, tech jargon to me.
It is, but it's important.
Yeah, so break it down for us.
Basically, it means the card can talk to your system's motherboard super fast, so data is flying back and forth with no hiccups.
Okay.
It's like having a super fast internet connection. specifically for your graphics card.
Gotcha. So it's future-proof, basically.
Exactly. It'll work seamlessly with modern systems, and it's ready for whatever upgrades you might have planned down the road.
Okay, so we have a powerful card.
Huh?
It's efficient, it's future-proof, and it's got a seriously attractive price.
It does.
But now I think the big question is,
who is this card really for?
yeah, who is this card for? That's the million-dollar question, right? I mean, who is this card actually for? NovaTechView had some thoughts on that, and I'd love to hear what you think.
Well, what struck me is just how accessible this card is.
Okay.
You know, there are a lot of people out there who've always wanted to get into PC gaming, but they've been kind of priced out, you know?
Right.
Those high-end GPUs can be really expensive.
Yeah.
And the B580, it's like, it opens the door for those gamers.
So it's kind of like leveling the playing field a little bit?
Exactly. And it's not just for new gamers either.
Okay, so who else?
Think about people who are rocking older graphics cards.
Right.
You know, cards that are a few years old, maybe starting to show their age. The B580 would be a huge upgrade for them.
Okay, so it's a good entry point for new gamers and a solid upgrade path for those looking to, you know, step up their game.
Exactly. It's like the perfect sweet spot of affordability and performance.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But, you know, let's address the elephant in the room. Can this card handle the latest AAA games?
You know, those big, demanding titles that really push graphics cards to their limits?
Yeah, the ones that make your PC sound like a jet engine.
Right. Well, NovaTechView actually put it to the test.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they ran games like Cyberpunk 2077 and Elden Ring on the B580.
Okay.
And the results were pretty impressive.
So it can hold its own?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially at 1080p or 1440p resolution. You know, the most common resolutions for gamers these days. You'll be able to enjoy those visually demanding games without any problems.
So it's not just about playing the games, it's about playing them well.
Right. And let's not forget about content creation.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
The B580 is a beast for video editing, 3D modeling, graphic design.
So those X cores and all that memory really come in handy for that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. When you're working with complex software, large files, you need a card that can keep up.
Can you give us an example, like how this translates to a better experience for content creators?
Sure, let's say you're a video editor working on a 4K project.
Okay.
Rendering times can be a real pain, you know.
Oh, yeah, I've heard horror stories.
Especially if you're using a lot of effects, transitions, all that. The B580 could significantly cut down those rendering times.
Oh, wow. So you're saving time, which means...
You're more productive.
Yeah.
And you can focus on the creative side of things.
That's huge.
It's all about removing those technical roadblocks.
I like that.
Letting creators do what they do best.
Now, this might be getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but I'm curious, what do you think the arrival of a card like the B580 means for the future of PC gaming and content creation? Like the big picture.
Well, I think it's a sign that things are changing.
Okay.
Intel's entry into the GPU market, it's a big deal.
It is.
It's shaking things up, injecting some much-needed competition.
So it's good for consumers, ultimately, right?
Absolutely. More
Yeah.
competition means better products, better prices.
To get a ripple effect.
Exactly. And it's not just about the hardware either.
What do you mean?
If the B580 is successful, which it looks like it will be, it could encourage more software developers to optimize their games and apps for Intel's architecture.
So it's like a win-win for everyone involved.
Potentially, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's still early days, but it's exciting to see what happens.
Okay, so let's shift gears for a second.
Okay.
NovaTechView had this really interesting pro tip in their video.
Okay.
They stressed the importance of pairing the B580 with a fast SSD and a good monitor.
That's a great point.
Yeah, why is that so important?
Well, it's all about balance.
Okay.
You know, it's not enough to just have a powerful graphics card.
Right.
You need a system where all the components work well together.
So it's like building a race car, right?
Exactly. You wouldn't put a top-of-the-line engine in a car with old, worn-out tires.
No, that would be silly.
It's the same with your PC.
So a fast SSD, that makes sure your games and apps load quickly, no more waiting around, and a good monitor. Well, that lets you actually see all those amazing visuals the B580 can produce.